So the title of the message is So Nehemiah. The word S-O, so. So, there's lots of big words, and big words you have to spend a lot of time figuring out and trying to decide what does it mean and, education. However, these small words we should know. So, that's a small word. However, it has a lot of meaning in it. So can mean many things. It can express size. It can mean resolve. It could be indifference. It can also mean because. So, having said that, the word so points us to great meaning. Words are the window to let the light of thought in to a man's soul. Language is something that's God-given. The animals don't have it. They have communication, but they have no language. God gave specifically to man language so we can communicate, and mostly so he can communicate to us. In Nehemiah, this word so pops up all through the book. We'll look at several of them. The first one I'll look at is Nehemiah 1 verse 4. I call this the so of prayer. Something happens to Nehemiah. He's been told that Jerusalem is in shambles again. It's in a precarious situation where it can be robbed easily. There's been no walls built. They've got the temple up, but no walls. That's asking for somebody to come in and rob you. You need protection. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a border. There's nothing wrong with having walls. There's nothing wrong with having locks on your doors. Okay, those are all safety features. And when he finds out in Persia that, hey, Jerusalem has not been taken care of properly, he's worried about it. It meant something to him. Nehemiah 1 verse 4. Nehemiah 1 in verse 4 he says this, "And it came to pass, when I had heard these words, that I sat down and wept, and mourned certain days, and fasted, and prayed before the God of heaven." He's worried about something. Now, problems show up in your life too, and you're going to do the same thing, I would hope, and I assume this crowd does. When a problem shows up, you pray. Okay? But don't stop there. Sometimes God will answer the prayer in stages. Usually that's what he does. So as he begins to answer it, don't forget to keep praying. Watch what happens. Chapter 2. Chapter 2, verse 4. "Then the king said unto me, For what dost thou make request? Here's my checkbook. You need a pen? Just fill it out for whatever you want. Here's our word. So I prayed to the God of heaven." Just because man seems like he's giving you an answer doesn't mean that's the full answer. Keep in touch with God even after you think you're beginning to find an answer. Now, he would have been in bad shape had he just decided, okay, here's the answer, man has solved my problems. The king was offering him a free checkbook. I mean, that's a good deal. But he didn't view that as the answer. God's still the answer. Now, God's going to use earthly things to answer your problems with. That's true. But those earthly answers are not the real answer. It's God moving to make that happen. Nehemiah prayed when the king offered a blank checkbook, and when your problems seem like they're being answered, keep in touch with God. Otherwise, he might say, oh, you wanted that to be your answer and not me. I'll just back off. We've all been there before, I'm sure. The next one I call the so of purpose. Look at it in Nehemiah 2, verse 11. Nehemiah 2, verse 11. It says, "So I came to Jerusalem and was there 3 days." It's easy to find problems. It's not so easy to do something about it. Prior to this, the king has done all the work. I'll give you my checkbook. But now, are you willing to do anything about it? Sometimes your problems, God answers this way. Here's a miracle to get you started. Now, are you going to move your feet too? God shouldn't be the only one working. A lot of times we got to do things we don't want to do too. Nehemiah 2, verse 11. He says, "So I came to Jerusalem." He didn't stay put. It would have been easy for him to get a band of guys together and say, look, I've gotten a free, anything you need, the checkbook's in my hand. Y'all go do the work and call me and tell me if you need some money. Wouldn't have that been easy? He would have just made himself a director. No, he said, I'm going to put my feet on the ground, go get on the pony and get out there and find out what's going on. And that's what he did. Next thing I see is the so of Plod. It won't be long before You've found what you think is the answer to your problem, and then it becomes very tedious. What you have to do is never ending. I have a job I'm working right now, and it will never end, I think. It feels like. I've been doing this. I was hoping it would have been done middle of last week, and I'm still working on it. That's Plod. You got to keep doing the menial task over and over until the job is done. That's what he does. He goes over here, and it's not just a quick process. He can snap his fingers and the walls are going to be built. He couldn't bring walls from Persia and just, self-install them. No, it's going to take some work. And work is not fun. That's why it's called work. Our verse, look at Nehemiah 4, verse 6. Nehemiah 4, verse 6, he says, So built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof. For the people had a mind to play, enjoy, no, work. Work is a good thing. Man is supposed to want to work. We've got a whole generation of kids that have grown up now thinking work is something you're supposed to shirk. No, work is normal. Even in the garden, when there was no curse, God still assigned work. You're supposed to keep the garden. That was work. Have you ever grown a garden? That's a lot of work. Okay. He started out by blessing man with work. Work's a good thing. Here, they're working. He said they all had a mind to work. Sometimes you've got to get your mind focused on what you're supposed to do. And it seems like everybody has that transition from weekend to week. Where you got to prepare yourself. That you've got to get your mind in gear with what's coming on Monday.
Is that the W-E-A-K?
Yeah, that week. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's after you've been working, is your week. Look at it, chapter 4, verse 10. And Judah said, the strength of the bearers of the burden is decayed, and there is much rubbish, so that we're not able to build the wall. Now that's going to happen. As you begin getting the answer to whatever the problem is, the problem multiplies. He said, we had a job to do. We're going to repair these walls and we're going to build back better, Biden. And then all of a sudden we discovered there's a rubbish heap here we've got to get rid of. The job just multiplied. There was more work to do than they had originally thought there was. So you got to keep going and keep on mission even when the work seems to multiply. And it does. Look at chapter 4, verse 18. For the builders, everyone had his sword girded by his side, so builded. And he that sounded the trumpet was by me. So he says, here's what we're going to do. I know problems are showing up and it's becoming dangerous up here. Now, the farther we get down our age, the more dangerous it's going to be a Christian. He says, everybody go get you a sword. There's nothing wrong with having proper weapons to protect yourself. Even Jesus says, if you don't have a sword, go buy one.
Amen.
So he said here, everybody's got a sword. Put your sword on, but get to work. Don't lose track of what we're here for. We're not here to set up the NRA and have a gun swap. We're here to work, but take precautions and have you a sword. Then he says, chapter 4, verse 21, so we labored in the work, and half of them held the spears from the rising of the morning till the stars appeared. He says, okay, you have to keep fine-tuning your work. Now, isn't that so? When there's a problem, when you start solving the problem, it seems like it keeps changing. And you've got to keep changing too, to get out ahead of it. And that's what's going on here. They started out with swords on their side. Then he says, well, that's not enough. What we need is an actual guard. So half of you men be the guard. And you can guard this side, and the rest of you get to work. And then we'll swap it out. And so they came up with a new system. Difficulties, enemies, rubbish, discouragement, and all of those problems showed up to hinder his progress. And he didn't let it do it. He didn't let it affect him. Now, had he succumbed to it, the walls would not have been up. And Jerusalem would have been back in shambles in no time. Look at chapter 6, verse 3. The next thing I see is the sow of persistence. You know, it's real easy to do the right thing one time. It is very difficult to continue doing the right thing. It's easy to find it. Answers are fun to find. Continuing to do them is a whole different story altogether. And that's where we find this man. The thing didn't just all of a sudden produce itself. No, they had to keep doing the plodding. Plodding was fun for a week, and then it wasn't any fun. Look at it in our text. It'll be not Genesis. Nehemiah 6. Look at verse 3. And I sent messengers unto them, saying, I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. Somebody wanted to stop him. Somebody wanted to sidetrack him, Sanballat and Tobiah. And he says, look, I'm going to tell you what. I got something over here I've got to do, and I can't come deal with you. Now, you're going to have to do that in life. Focus on one thing God wants you to do and do that. And don't get sidetracked. You know, God will he'll handpick a mission for you. Whatever his goal is for you to be a representative of him. Everybody will have one direct from God. I can't give that to you. You got to get that from God. And you'll know within yourself what is natural for you to be able to communicate God to other people. Now, with that, get busy and don't be sidetracked. Now, you can look around and find somebody else who's doing it much better, according to your appearance, than what you're doing. But don't get sidetracked from it. You got a job to do. Go do it. That's what Nehemiah was saying. Nehemiah was saying, look, I don't have time to come fool with your plans. I've got something I'm doing. You go do whatever you want to. I can't stop what I'm doing. Now, if Christians would get serious about God, we wouldn't stop what we were doing either. The cure for mischief, usually, is this. Keep doing the Lord's work that's been revealed to you to do. And that'll put to bed a lot of the bickering and the garbage that's become modern Christianity. Modern Christianity is ever changing, it seems like. Now just keep on doing what's right. The next sow I'll see is in chapter 6, verse 15. I call this the sow of perfection. 6, verse 15. He says, so the wall was finished. Whew, finally. How long did it take him? 52 days. Whew, that's a whole lot of building. I've had some of those 1 week projects that take 5 months. That's the way it would feel here. Now, this guy, Chris, knows more about how this feels than any of us. This was literal bricklaying. They're building the walls for 52 days. A whole team of them. And they're getting some work done. Now that's a lot of ground they got to cover. But God finally gave the victory. Prayer, he started with. Prayer fueled his purpose. And purpose helped the plodding. And persistence was crowned with perfection. Finally. Let's notice the man. Chapter 5, verse 15. Chapter 5, verse 15. There had been many men who had come in before and were governors. But they didn't get any wall built. Why? Because there was something different about this man. He wasn't the typical government. You know, that's what a governor is. A governor is someone who directs the governing of how this happens and that happens. And there had been many governors before, but no walls got built. I'm sure big bank accounts got built, but no walls.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, sounds like every government in history. Look at it in chapter 5, verse 15. But the former governors that had been before me were chargeable unto the people, and had taken of them bread and wine, besides 40 shekels of silver. Yea, even their servants bear rule over the people. But so did not I, because of the fear of God. He said, I got a mission to do, and if I get sidetracked with making this a get-rich-quick scheme, I'll get sidetracked from getting anything done. The other losers who came before him never got anything done. And he said, I've identified why. God will do that. He'll reveal to you the failures of other people, not so you can go broadcast how great you are and what a wonderful mind you have, but so you don't fall in that ditch. It's not to become a head gossip. It's to stay out of that problem. Look at it in chapter 8, verse 11. After the personality of the man has been revealed to us, let's see the power. The power. One of his first jobs as governor, especially of Israel, is this. There has got to be the Levites doing their job. Without religious reform, there's no physical reform. America has kicked God out of schools, and they're trying to kick him out of the country. Well, if he goes, he's taking the country with him. The country will go out the window just as fast. Nehemiah 8, look at verse 11. So the Levites stilled all the people, saying, Hold your peace, for the day is holy, neither be ye grieved. Okay, so the Levites are in place, and they're doing what they're supposed to do, and that's going to enable the people to not only have physical safety, but spiritual safety. Without spiritual safety, you don't have physical safety.
Amen.
The two go hand in hand. According to the law, they acted and so influenced others to act. When the Levites will do their job, then it enables the people to be powered by God to do their job. And it's a one thing after the next. Now, notice no one person does everything in here. Even though the book is called Nehemiah, it's about a whole bunch of non-Nehemiahs. It's about a bunch of little people is what it is. That's the Christian life. Christian life is not about one big wig that does everything. Our big wig that does everything is Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And we're a bunch of little wheels in the cog. He says that the Levites stilled the people. That is, you're going to have turmoil and discontent that's normal to life. And you know what steals it? God. Outside of God, there's little band-aids we can put on things, but guess what? They come off real easy. In conclusion, I'll say this. Small words have their position, as do seemingly insignificant people. Look in the mirror and you can find an insignificant people. So, our word so. Take Nehemiah's example and apply yourself to your position as God accomplishes his mission.